Hi, good morning, Senior 2. Welcome in studying biology. This year the syllabus is really very interesting. We're going to make or allow the research communicate with each other the curiosity in studying the science. It means we are so curious to study science and biology. We will going to depend in our studying, in thinking, analysis, creativity, comparison. Our syllabus this year is talking about the vital process of the living organism, starting from the nutrition, transportation of blood, transportation of water in plants, respiration, and then general division. Thank you to join us Delta Language School online studying with Miss Miriam Nabil. Okay, at the beginning we were going Unit 1 to study nutrition. Nutrition, it means feeding. Feeding, it's a science of feeding, the first vital process any living organism start doing it. It is the scientific studying of food to various, it means different, moods, it means kind of nutrition, feeding. So the nutrition, it's the science of studying feeding. It's the science of studying the kind of feeding. But what are the importance of food to the living organism? Of course, food is very important. Without eating or feeding, we can't do any of our vital process, any of our activities. Even we can digest food without energy. Energy is very important. The source of energy in living organism is food. And also the food participate, it means share the materials needed for growth, growing of a baby to become a boy, a baby to become a girl, or become a woman or a man. This growing stage will not be completed without eating, feeding. Repairing, it means fixing the worn out tissue, the damaged tissue in our body. If you have an injury, if you wound or a broken bone, it will not be healed except without feeding. But what are the types of nutrition? We have two kinds of nutrition. The first kind of nutrition is called autotrophic. Auto, it means self-feeding. Self-feeding, the self-feeding, the plant can make self-feeding. In this slide, there is a green plant, a tree. The green plant take from air carbon dioxide, very simple substance, carbon dioxide. From the soil, it can take water and salts through the roots or through the rain in the leaves. So these are very simple kind of food substance, carbon dioxide, water, and salt. The plant absorbs the light as we talk in senior one. The plant cell contains a structure called chloroplast. Chloroplast or green plast. This is the plant cell. The plant cell contains green plastid that give the leaves or the plant its green color, and it has the ability to absorb the sunlight. When this raw material enters the body of the plant, raw material, it means very, very simple material, carbon dioxide, water, and salt, and sunlight. What will happen? The plant will going to produce carbohydrate or sugar or starch and store it in its cell and release oxygen. So from simple material, we can obtain the food of the plant, which is the carbohydrates. So photosynthesis process, it's a chemical process. Means carbon dioxide plus water and salt in the presence of the sunlight and the chloroplast, it produces carbohydrate, which is the food of the plant, from simple substance obtaining more complicated substance. So simply, autotrophic nutrition is the nutrition in which a living organism, such as the plant, can make its own food. Photosynthesis process is a certain chemical reaction made by the green plants that can make their food inside their cell from simple substance. Simple, it means a raw substance, low energy material. What are these low energy materials? Carbon dioxide, water, and salt in the presence of the light energy to make a high energy types of food. Carbohydrate, which is sugar, starch, maybe it will change later to fat and protein. So photosynthesis process, it's a chemical process in which the plant can make its own food from very simple substance, carbon dioxide, mineral, salt and water, and sunlight. Another kind of feeding or nutrition is hetero. Hetero, it means it's different from autotrophic. Heterotrophic. The heterotrophic is when the living organism depend on their food from the body of another living organism. It feeds on a body of another living organism, such as what? Such as green plants or animals that feed on green plants. If a living organism eating green plants or eating the animals that feed on green plants is called heterotrophs. We are going to divide the heterotrophic organism number one to holozoic. The holozoic nutrition, all of them are called heterotrophic. Herbivorous, it's the organism that feed on plants, such as the zebra. Herbivorous, coming from the word herb, it means plants. So the first kind of holozoic nutrition, holozoic is also heterotrophic. Number one, herbivorous or herbivorous. Number two, carnivorous, the organism that feed on the body of another living organism, such as the lion, the tiger, and so on. Omnivorous or omnivorous, they are the living organisms that feed on plants and animals. For example, the American pear here or human. Human also is omnivorous. So these are the three kinds of holozoic nutrition. Again, the holozoic nutrition, it's the first kind of heterotrophic. It's divided into three things. Herbivorous, feed on herbs or plants, such as the zebra. Carnivorous, feed on meat, such as the lion. Omnivorous, living organisms feed on both plants and animals, such as the American pear or human. The second mode of heterotrophic is parasites. Parasites such as Bilharzia, worm, virus, and mosquito. What are the parasites? Each parasite has a host, a parasite and a host. The parasite, it's a bad mode of nutrition, in which this parasite, this is a virus for example, enter the body of its host, causing to it diseases. It means the parasite, it's a harmful mode of feeding, where the living organism enter the body of its host, another living organism causing its diseases. As you see here in this slide, the coronavirus. Coronavirus is live as a parasite inside human, inside the lung of human, causing to it death and dangerous diseases. What else parasites? Mosquito is an external parasite. This is its host, the man. It's externally parasite on the man, sucking its blood and causing malaria to the man and other dangerous diseases, carrying diseases. What else parasites? This is the Bilharzia worm. This big one is the male Bilharzia, and this is the female Bilharzia. The Bilharzia worm is also a parasite that enters the body of the living organism, human, and cause dangerous damage to the liver. It means that the Bilharzia worm causes diseases to human. What else? Some insects are parasites, such as flea, البرغوث, such as ticks, mites, and so on. Other living organisms are called saprophytes or decomposers. Feed on the dead body, changing the dead body to simple substance, such as fungi and saprophytic bacteria. Okay, this is a dead body. The saprophytes are decomposing it. And this is a bread mold. It's another kind of fungi that are considered as saprophytes or decomposer. Mushroom is also a saprophyte. The first kind of nutrition is called autotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition. We will going to deal in details, include two important processes. Number one, the process of absorbing water and salt. This is the first step. The plant will going to absorb water and salt from the soil. And number two, the photosynthesis process. Let's discuss the first one, which is absorbing water and salt. To understand this, we are going to study in detail the root of the plant, the root system of the plant. This is the part where the plant will absorb water and salt. Then this soil solution transported from one cell to another. It means when the plant will going to absorb the water through the root, then it will going to be transported the water and salt to other parts of the plant, such as, for example, the leaves, the stem, the fruit, and so on. In this slide, we can see a tree plant which consists of shoot system which is the stem and the leaves, and root system, which is the main root and branched root and the root hair. If you take this root hair and examine it under the microscope, you will find that this is called root hair extending outside. Let's first see the layer of tissue. This is the root hair. This is called epidermis, البشرة, and this is called cortex, القشرة. Okay, and then these vessels, these tubes are called xylem. If you remember from senior one, the xylem take the water and salt from the soil, transported up to the leaves and the fruit, so that the other part can reach, the water can reach it. What happened here? Do you see this root hair extending from epidermis? So the root hair is coming out from where? From this layer, which is called epidermis of the root, البشرة. يبقى بنقول إن this root hair بنقول عليها الشعيرة الجذرية. If you see it under the microscope, it's extending out from this layer, which is called epidermis of the root. This is called the zone of elongation, منطقة استطالة الشعيرة الجذرية اللي بتطلع منها الشعيرة الجذرية. The root hair is consisting of what? If you see this root hair and examine it, it has a very thin wall. Do you see this black line? Do you see this black line? It's a very, very thin wall, very thin wall. So the wall of the root hair is very thin. Why? In order to allow the water to pass easily from the soil particles to inside the root. So the first thing in the adaptation, بتكيف الجذر عشان يؤدي وظيفته, so that the root can be adapted to do its function, to do its job. But the wall of the root hair is very, 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 very thin. You see it, this black part? This is called the root, the wall of the root hair. So the water will pass from the soil to inside the root. Number one, it has a thin wall. Number two, it's lined with a cytoplasm from inside. It's covered with cytoplasm from inside. Okay, متبطنة بالcytoplasm من جوه. The cytoplasm is surrounding the vacuole. You see, this white part is called vacuole. Vacuole. All of this is vacuole. Vacuole, it means it's a sac or a bag containing solutes. الvacuole دي زي فجوة فيها أو زي شنطة مليانة بالsolutes بالحاجات اللي متدوب فيها. The salts and so on. This is the vacuole. The cytoplasm is surrounding the vacuole, and this is vacuole. Vacuole is very important because inside the vacuole there is a concentration of solutes. جوه الvacuole دي في أملاح دايبة, and it's very important. It's very important in the transportation of water. And also here there is a nucleus. So let's discuss again this. This is the root hair coming out from the epidermis, البشرة, from a region called, من حتة اسمها the zone of elongation, منطقة الاستطالة. If you examine the root hair have a thin wall so that the water can pass easily from the soil to inside the root. What else? It has a nucleus. From inside, it's covered with a cytoplasm covering the vacuole. Okay, let's discuss the adaptation in the root hair. The structure of root hair is covered internally with a thin layer of cytoplasm which contain nucleus and a large sap vacuole, as we said. Its length is about 4 millimeters long, its age less than few days or weeks. Why? Why do you think? As we see in previous slide, that the root hair is found around the particles of the soil. So there is a kind of friction, احتكاك, between the root hair and the soil particles, causing its damaged. So since the epidermal layer are lost from time to time, regenerate continuously from the zone of elongation. What's the meaning of this? Let's go back to the drawing slide to understand this. Okay, this is the root hair. The root hair is coming out from the epidermis, as we said. It's coming out from the epidermis. The root hair is coming out from the epidermis, and this is called the zone of elongation. Because the root hair is lost from time to time due to the continuous friction, احتكاكها with the soil particles, نتيجة احتكاكها المستمر بجزيئات التربة هتتلف. Okay, so what will happen? It will elongate, هتطول تاني from the zone of elongation in the epidermis layer. Okay? Okay, there are a large in number protruding outside to increase the surface area of the absorption. It means the root hair are so many. It takes a very big surface area to increase the surface area of the water absorption. We're going to see this in a photo later. A thin wall, as we said, to permit the water to pass and the soil to pass inside. The solution inside it, root hair vacuole, more concentrated than in the soil in order to help the water to pass. What's the meaning of this? To understand this, let's go back to the diagram. Okay. This is the soil. As you see here, the amount of water in the soil is more than the amount of water inside the root hair cell. The water will pass from high concentration, it means التركيز الأعلى اللي موجود في التربة, to the less concentration which is inside the root hair. So let's simply first take this and then we're going to explain it later. In the ways of the absorption of water by the roots. يعني دلوقتي هنقولها ببساطة إن نتيجة إن تركيز المية في التربة عالي قوي في جزيئات التربة عالي وجوه الخلية بتاعة الروت هير أقل فالمية هتمشي من التركيز الأعلى للتركيز الأقل. So the water will pass from high concentration to the low concentration. طب إيه علاقة ده بالفاكيوم؟ What is the vacuole? The water will pass out from the soil to inside the vacuole due to the concentration of solute inside the vacuole. Means what? solute اللي هي الأملاح. نتيجة تركيز الأملاح العالي جوه الفاكيول يبقى في ملح كتير في مية قليلة. فين؟ جوه الروت هير. يبقى نتيجة إن في أملاح كتير جوه الروت هير وفي مية أقل، المية هتمشي من التركيز الأعلى اللي موجود في السايل للتركيز الأقل اللي موجود في الروت هير. يبقى the sap vacuole is very important. why ليه العصارة اللي جوه الفاكيول دي مهمة قوي؟ لأن فيها تركيز الأملاح عالي، يبقى المية تركيزها أقل. واحنا عندنا قاعدة إن الحاجة بتمشي من الهاي concentration للlow concentration. So the sap vacuole is very important. It's one of the adaptation of the root. Why? Due to the concentration of solute which will pass from high concentration to low concentration, from soil to water. Okay. You see here, this is the protrusions of the root hair. يعني البروزات الكتيرة قوي اللي للروت هير. الروت هير طالع بكميات كبيرة ومساحة السطح بتاعته كبيرة، فبالتالي يقدر يمتص أكبر كمية من المية. زود مساحة السطح عشان يمتص أكبر كمية من المية. So the root hair is just protruding. It means coming out, extending. بيمتد من الروت البرانشز. Why? To increase the surface area of the water absorption. What else? There is a viscous substance, sticky substance secreted by the root hair. Why the root hair secrete a viscous substance? In order, number one, so that the root hair found its passage easily through the soil particle. So the root hair can pass easily through the soil particle to make the root and the plant as a whole stick in the root, to fix the plant to the soil. Okay, then we're going to take the mechanism of the water absorption by three ways. The water will be absorbed by diffusion, by osmosis, by permeability. I will going to start with by diffusion. By diffusion. By diffusion, it's the movement of molecules or ions from the highly concentrated medium to the low concentrated medium due to the free motion of molecules of the diffused substance. Imagine that there is a drop of ink in a glass of water. So the diffusion is concerned with the passage of molecules of iron from high concentration to low concentration, such as a drop of ink which is spread in a glass of water. يبقى الديفيوجن معناها الانتشار. معناها ايه؟ الانتشار. انتشار المولكيولز او الايونز من التركيز الاعلى للتركيز الاقل. كاني بتخيل ان في نقطه حبر في glass of water. This is number one. Let's see this slide to imagine what happened exactly. This is the root hair. As you see here, it's pointed to the root hair. This is the soil water in blue. This is the inorganic ions. The ions, it means this is the ions you see here. The water is coming, and the water is coming from high concentration to low concentration. Having to wave either from the wall or through the sap vacuum coming to inside. So the water or the is passing from high concentration in the soil to less concentration inside the sap vacuum. Okay. The second way is by osmosis. It is the diffusion of water. اللي بالنا ان احنا قلنا ان the diffusion it is ions. Here it is water from the medium of high concentration of water in the soil to the low concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. What is the semi-permeable membrane? It's the membrane of the cell wall of the root hair. Okay. Here there is the, you see here, this is the cell wall, and this is the water is passing by osmosis from the soil, which has a high concentration, to inside the root cell, which has a less concentration. The water passes across the root from the cell to the cell inside here, from high concentration of water to less concentration, until it reaches the xylem vessel. The xylem vessel is like a tube, a long tube, till it go up to the plant. Let's say this in Arabic. قلنا ان تركيز الميه في التربه اعلى من تركيزه جوه خليه الجذر او الشعيره الجذريه. نتيجه ليه تركيز الميه هنا اعلى وهنا تركيز الميه اقل جوه السيل دي؟ تركيز الميه هنا اقل لان تركيز الملح هنا اعلى، يبقى تركيز الميه اقل. يبقى الميه هتمشي من التركيز العالي للتركيز الاقل، يبقى الخليه دي هيبقى فيها تركيز ميه اعلى من الخليه دي. from high concentration to low concentration. الخليه دي بقى فيها ميه اعلى from high concentration to low until it reach the xylem vessel. فاكرين الزايلم فاسل اللي هو كان بيجيب ايه؟ كان بيجيب الميه من الروت up to the plant. يبقى what is the meaning of osmosis? It's the diffusion of water, the passage of water from high concentration in the soil to low concentration inside the cell through a semi-permeable membrane. The semi-permeable membrane اللي هي الممبرين بتاعة الجزيرة الشعرية اللي بنقول عليه semi-permeable. هنعرف ان ايه semi-permeable ليه؟ احنا خدناها قبل كده. semi-permeable باختصار هو الممبرين بتاع البلانت سيل اللي بيسمح لبعض الحاجات انها تمر وحاجات ثانيه انها ما تمرش، هناخده بعدين بالتفصيل. Okay, this diagram shows the meaning of osmosis. You see this? This is the membrane of the root hair. The fluid, it means water, and this green thing is the salt. And this is the soil, and this is the root cell. يبقى هنتفق ان دي السويل ودي الروت cell. The water passes from high concentration to low concentration. What's about the salt? The salt will pass also from high concentration to low concentration. طب السولت متركز اكتر فين؟ جوه السيل of the root hair. So it will pass from the root hair to the soil. يبقى كل حاجه في القانون بيقول ان اي حاجه بتمشي من الهاي concentration لللو concentration. طب الهاي concentration فين؟ السويل. So it will pass from the soil to the root hair. طب الهاي concentration of solute فين؟ the root cell. So it will pass solute اللي هي الاملاح او الحاجات اللي دايبه from the root cell to the soil. What's meant by osmotic pressure? The pressure, I will read the simple definition. The pressure caused due to the concentration of solute that cause the passage of water through a semi-permeable membrane. It means as much as the solute is concentrated, as much as the water is less concentrated. يعني كل ما الأملاح اتركزت أكثر كل ما المية قلت. طب المية قلت جوه السيل، فده هيخليها زي البامب تشفط المية من التربة ناحيتها. So due to the high concentration of solute, there is a high osmotic pressure that make the water pass from high concentration in the soil to low concentration in the plant. عشان كده النباتات اللي موجودة في تربة مالحة بتبقى osmotic pressure عندها عالي جدا. ليه؟ Because there is a high concentration of salt or solute inside the cell of the plant, inside the root cell of the plant. So this will make it as a pump to absorb the water from high concentration in the soil to less concentration in the plant. طب والسوليوت لا، السوليوت بيبقى العكس. Let's see another slide. This is the direct proportional relationship between the osmotic pressure and the concentration of salt or solute inside the cell. Okay. This is a summarized our difference between osmosis and diffusion. In diffusion, we are talking about the concentration of molecules. In osmosis, we are talking about the concentration of water. Diffusion, it is the passage of molecules freely from high concentration to low concentration. In osmosis, it's the passage of water from high concentration to low concentration. What's meant by osmotic pressure? Osmotic pressure. The osmotic pressure, we said, it's the pressure depending on the concentration of the solute inside the cell that allows the passage of water through semi-permeable membrane. يعني الضغط الأسموزي هو الضغط اللي بيعتمد على تركيز الأملاح جوه الخلية. كل ما تركيز الأملاح زاد كل ما تركيز المية قل جوه الخلية. يبقى التركيز القليل يجي له الميه من التركيز الاعلى اللي هو من السويل. يبقى the water will pass from high concentration to low concentration. So it is the pressure depending on the concentration of solute that permit the water to pass from high concentration of water in the soil to low concentration of water inside the cell through a semi-permeable membrane.